A thought just popped into my head about vehicle you will be driving. What do you pick? What van you roll with? And basically, out here you have Mercedes, Ford, and Dodge. There is a sprinkling of Nissan, and I don't know anything about the Nissans, their quality, their build, but that is about the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my life. That is just a hideous looking vehicle. So generally speaking, you have Mercedes, Ford, and Dodge. My opinion, which stands for nothing. I like the Ford van, and like I said, I got 100 right now. I got 154,000 on it. It hasn't given me a hiccup's worth of problems. Runs like a top. Everything works. I can't speak for the reliability of other vehicles. The Dodge van, the two things about it I don't like. Well, it doesn't look all that great, but two things about it I don't really care for is I've stood next to them while they run, when they're idling, and they sound like a 1970s Chrysler product. If you're old enough to remember those, the motor was loud. It made this swishing sound when it was running. It just has a hollow sound to it that just is not encouraging. Whereas the Ford and the Mercedes are completely quiet. I mean, you don't even know it's running. There's a lot of guys that like the Mercedes. The actual model that the Mercedes makes is called a Sprinter. Even though they generically call all these vans Sprinter vans, that's what they're referring to. And like I said, some people love those. I imagine they're more expensive. And here's a simple statement of fact. At some point, you're going to have to conduct some heavy maintenance. You're going to have to replace parts, and that's just the nature of the beast. But what do you think the price is between an alternator on a Ford and an alternator on a Mercedes? And how much does it cost to get that alternator swapped out if you have to hire somebody? You got to think of it that way. And if you break down or have some kind of catastrophic failure, how close do you think the nearest Ford dealer is versus how close do you think the nearest Mercedes dealer is? Again, it's commonality. That's what I like about this vehicle. But I mean, it's up to you. It's your decision. Whatever you want. They don't give these vans away. These things are pricey. And as far as the van you pick, the bigger the better. I mean, there may be a load across the street that's wonderful, it's ready to go right now, but your van can't hold it. So generally speaking, the more van you have, the more options you have. And I've had this van full to the ceiling before. This was pretty big. I have carried a package that looks the equivalent of 2 packs of cigarettes to a guy. Literally, it was just, you could hold it in your hand. I've had a dozen loads that you could carry with one hand. It's the nature of the beast, but you have to carry, you have the option to carry larger loads. I bid a load. It was a couple of really tall job boxes going out of Houston, and it was going to Oregon. I thought, wow, that'd be a cool drive. And I didn't get it. And 2 hours later, my dispatch calls back and says, oh, by the way, you got that load. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense because the 15 minutes came and went. So I go to pick it up, and the guy came out, and he looked at me kind of funny, and then he came out and loaded it. And he said, I thought you were the same guy. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, there was a guy here earlier with a van like yours, but it wasn't as long as yours, and the boxes wouldn't fit. And I'm like, that's kind of stupid. You know the measurements on your van. So what's the guy think he was going to bend it in there somehow or just fake it? It's stupid. But he bid a load he couldn't carry, and then he didn't get it. And I ended up going, wow, like 2,000 miles. Really neat drive to Klamath Falls, Oregon. I really enjoyed that. And ironically, got a load from the exact same company coming out and ended up in Florida from there. So that was a cool ride, going all the way across the country and out in the desert and stuff. It was a lot of fun. But when you pick your van, like you said, the reliability of them, to me, they're all the same. I mean, you can always find someone who doesn't like a model or a brand, and there's no flawless vehicles out there. Again, the commonality of the Ford and the Ford dealerships and the parts, and I like that. But everybody's got their thing. That's my 2 cents. I look underneath a Dodge van, and the suspension in the back looks antiquated. You can see a big crossbar where the axle is. It's just something about it just rubs me wrong. But to each their own. That's just me talking. I'm happy with this one. And again, this is for vans. Now, once you get over 10,000 pounds, you get into box trucks, and I know nothing about box trucks because that requires different licensing and different everything, and I don't know anything about it, so I stay away. I don't know how the insurance rates affect things. But when you're driving this van, some of the overhead on this is murderous. There's the cost of the vehicle. You have commercial insurance, and then you have what is called non-trucking insurance, which is literally for when you're empty. Why would, You know, you have to literally carry, and it's expensive. And now with the gas prices going through the roof, that's starting to poke into your profits pretty hard. So one of the things I've done, I started slowing down a little bit, you know, just to see if I can save some fuel. And the winds are blowing pretty hard right now, and this van is an aerodynamic brick, so that doesn't help at all. It's a sailboat with wheels. But that's what you got to think about it. Like I said, you want to get into box trucks, that's cool, but all of a sudden you're in a different category of certification and legalities, and I don't do it. I don't know. Like I said, I don't even have a CDL because you don't need one for under 10,000 pounds. That's important to know. And again, DOT doesn't bother you. It's like we don't exist. We're invisible to them. I've never had one look at me cross-eyed. So pick your vehicle, do your maintenance. You don't do your maintenance, your vehicle will not last. Period. You have to do it. And if you drive as hard as I drive, you're going to be doing 10,000 mile oil changes, which is what this one calls for. I'm doing them like every 3.5, 4 weeks. I mean, it's nuts. But if you don't do it, the van's not going to stay in one piece. So don't cut corners. And that's my only fear of buying one that's used, like heavily used, like 300, 400,000 miles. You don't know how they maintain it, so you don't know what you're messing with. But do your research. Go drive, go test them, go look at them, talk to people that own them. Come up with what's best for you, the size, what you're going to do with it. Are you staying local or are you going long range? You know, everybody's got their thing. But pick your vehicle and take care of your vehicle. And that's the way you be successful out here. All right, this is Expediting with Lucy. I'm out.